She's back! Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we're here with Season 2, Episode 2 of Castlevania Nocturne. And Jolta Suentes is back. She has been resurrected as a night creature by the abbot, and basically under the forced orders of Elizabeth, or Elizabeth. I did that last time. I was so proud of, like, almost remembering her name. It's Elizabeth Battery, not Elizabeth. Elizabeth. But yeah, she was forcing the abbot to bring Jolta back because, she and Jolta absolutely were fucking. Like, 100%. Uh, it's, it's not subtle. So she's back as a night creature now. And so that's going to be interesting. Because that's going to probably buff her quite a bit. I'm really interested to see, like, what new abilities she might have from that. Because some of these night creatures have some wild abilities. Being able to, like, shoot fireballs and everything. Just naturally. So I'm really curious to see what she can end up doing now. And how much stronger than before is she? But we also got, like, Alucard and everything, working with them. We also got to see him kind of invading a tomb in Egypt to try and find the goddess's body, but it wasn't there, and yada yada, all this crazy shit happening with the goddess Sekhmet and Elizabeth. Our party is going to be splitting for now, apparently, with some of them staying here and others going to Paris. And Richter's a dumbass because he can't tell that Maria wants him there and with her. And he's thinking, like, when she's telling him that she doesn't want him around right now, he thinks that she's being literal when she's just being moody because her mother sacrificed herself and her father's a fucking asshole. Yeah, I think she has a right to be moody. It's like, he really is so fucking dumb that he can't tell that she wants him there and needs him there. Jesus. We don't even know what happened to her by the end, because she ran off to, like, go see, like, the army or whatever, and then just wasn't seen again for the rest of the episode, so whatever the fuck's happening there. Probably not good. On top of that, we do see her mother and see her as a vampire and everything. She's not loyal to Elizabeth at all, and is just kind of wanting to watch over Maria in the shadows. We see Aurochs kind of, like, just being as mischievous as he always is. He didn't really have a huge role to play, though he did kind of help Maria's mom. He was at least kind of being nice to her. The abbot's a prick as ever, but, you know, fuck him. It was definitely a lot of setup. There is definitely a lot of setup with it. Bringing Jolta back is definitely preparing for some really interesting battle possibilities. I wouldn't mind seeing Alucard versus Jolta. That would be pretty cool. Wasn't he the one who killed her at the end of the first season, though? So, yeah, I mean, if she is really going to be buffed and, like, extra powerful, that could really lead to a good fight, I feel. I definitely want to see, like, just where all this ends up going at this point. I mean, I feel like it's obviously leading up to a battle with Elizabeth herself, but I kind of don't see how they can beat her at this point. Like, they're going to really need some power-ups here to be able to take her down, because, like, she's vampire Jesus. Quite literally. Like, not as literal as, like, literally being Jesus Christ, but you know. She is the vampire messiah. She is extra powerful. She has god blood in her. How do you even begin to fight something like that? Like, what even? I can't see what they're going to be able to do against her. So it's got to be some upgrades and stuff. It's going to have to be like some massive upgrades. I guess we'll end up finding out. But this is... It was a strong start. It wasn't like the best necessarily. It wasn't like this phenomenal, like, world-shattering episode or anything. But it was a strong start. And like I said, I'm definitely curious to see where it goes. And I mean, hey, it gave me Egyptian muscle mommies, so that's always a plus. Even if Alucard did kill them, it's like at least I got to see them. Listen, I have a type. I'm gonna roll with it. For those who are newer to the channel and whatnot, just to make it very, very clear, I am really into muscular women. Big buff women are absolutely my type, and it is very attractive to me. But yeah, I don't know where this is going yet. I will say, I don't think Dralta's going to survive another season. I think she's going to die this season for good. I think the Abbot is going to die. I feel like the Abbot has to die. There's just way too much setup for that. I also think that, oh God, what is his name? Oh my God, I can't think of his name. It was said in the first episode. It's not like Renaud or something like that, right? The guy who got turned into a night creature as well and has his wits about him and everything, despite the fact that he shouldn't. I can't think of his name right now, but I think he's gonna die, and I think he's gonna sacrifice himself in the same way that Maria's mother did. I also think that Maria's mother also has a possibility of dying. I think Maria herself, Richter, Alucard, and the other girl whose name I can't think of at the moment either. I'm not great with names all the time. I think they're the only ones who are absolutely safe from dying. I don't know if they're gonna kill Erzsébet this early, because I don't know, like, how the idea of her being the main villain of this series is. Maybe the final villain's going to be Sekhmet herself. That would be very interesting. Have shades of Moon Knight in there. Because with the original series, like, Dracula wasn't the main villain for the entire run. It changed to Carmilla and then eventually Death. So anything can happen. I think those ones that I mentioned, though, are the only ones who are absolutely safe. Of course, we're also going to, without question, be introduced to more new characters, too. So, who knows, like, what else is going to change things in that regard. I'm very interested to see more of this. I'm very, very much interested to see how this goes, because this is a good series. I enjoy the Castlevania show, both the first season of Nocturne and the original show's 5 seasons, I believe. So yeah, let's get into this and see what we have in store. Hold up just a second there. Before you click that link in the description below to go to today's reaction, I want to take the moment to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 every day except Thursday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about all the awesome gaming content over on the Princessa Gaming channel. Every day of the week we have some awesome Let's Plays, we have streams, we have all kinds of great content. And please, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to like this video if you want to see more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get to today's video. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. What the fuck? Not for the reasons you might think, but what the fuck? Where did that episode go? Like, it didn't click in my head until after I stopped the video. Because I got distracted, like, right before by the entire beheading thing, and making myself laugh. But when I stopped the video, it, like, kind of clicked in my mind. It's like, wait a minute, it's over. I'm like, wait, why is it over? It just, what? And it's like, my mind is like, I'm going over what happened in the episode in my mind. It's like, I mean, I guess, yeah, it makes sense, but also what? It's one of those cases where the episode flies by, like, so goddamn fast because you're just so into it. And obviously, this happens all the time. Like, this is not, like, new for even Castlevania, but just in general. When you, like, really are getting into an episode, it just is suddenly over because you're, like, so invested in what's going on that you don't notice the time passing. It's just, you know, the simple case of time flies when you're having fun. But it's like, it was so quick that I didn't even, like, comprehend it at first. I saw the credits, like, starting up, and I was like, okay, I'll see you back at the redirect, out of almost just pure instinct. Like I said, it clicked right after I stopped the video. It's like I had this moment of realization in my head, like, wait, what? What just did I just end the video? But that's a good thing, by the way. Like, when I'm that invested in an episode where it takes, like, a moment to really even realize the episode ended, despite the fact that I actively ended the video, it's like, oh, okay. We got a little bit of action with Dralta in this one, obviously continuing off the last one. But the episode was also still a lot of setup, with our parties, again, being split and going their separate ways. We see, why can't I not remember her name? But her and Richter, I don't know why I can't remember her name. They are, clearly catching feelings for each other. Which, as long as it's paced and handled well enough, I can get behind. Like, I can live with that. As long as it's well enough done. And right now, like, if they just, like, kissed right now, I would have probably had a problem with it. Because it would have felt kind of out of nowhere. Maybe not completely out of nowhere, but it wouldn't have been built up enough. But having them, like, hold hands here, even though she did it just out of, like, fear because of her visions and everything. Like, showing them blushing at each other and Richter being an absolute, like, dumbass nerd. Which is adorable, by the way. But it's like, that's good for now. Having it built up, having it, like get to that point where it's where it feels more natural, that's more of what I would like to see with this, and it looks like it's probably going to do that. And it kind of did that with Trevor and Sypha in the first series too. Like they didn't fall in love right away. In fact, Sypha kind of hated his guts at first. She kind of like really did not like him at first. But it progressively happened over time, and yeah, I liked it by the end. It's like I was into it, but still. Um, we also got to see Juiced in this. He's back, and we get to see how he's, I wouldn't say reluctantly rejoining the fight, but he's very conflicted about it. Because of, clear traumas and pains from the past, he's been like out of action, and he even visits that's his wife, right? His wife's grave. And even is like telling her, like, I've got to get back into this fight. I have to do it. I don't want to, basically, but I have to. And he gets the ring, and it's like, is that safe? Hold on, let me look this up real quick, because that's gonna bother me if I don't find out. So Castlevania Sypha ring. Let me see if I can find this. I mean, it's just bringing up the Wikipedia here, so I guess that's the best I can hope for and look for here. So let me see if I can find anything. No, it wouldn't be in history. It would be like in weapons or tools or whatever. Not personality. Powers and abilities, okay. Speaker mage. Shoot magic elements from her hands. I'm not seeing anything about a ring though. Yeah, pyrokinesis, cryokinesis. Yeah, all the magic we know. Okay, I'm looking at there's a picture of her here, and I don't see a ring on her hand there, but that's not like the best view. Let me see if I can just look up Netflix Castlevania Sypha. Let me see if I can see a picture of her that might have a ring. Okay, there's a picture showing her hands. Her right hand, she doesn't have a ring on. Oh, here's one that shows both hands. No, she's not wearing any kind of ring, so she doesn't have like a ring to channel her magic. So I was wrong about that. I was absolutely wrong about that. So the ring is something. Was it just his wedding ring then? Because it felt like it was more important than that, right? It absolutely felt more important than just a wedding ring. I don't know why my mind instantly thought it might have belonged to Sypha, though. I mean, I guess it maybe still could have, like, post the events of the main series, but yeah, I don't know. It feels very important. It feels like more than just a wedding ring. It didn't even look like a typical wedding ring, so I guess maybe we'll find out. um, but we get to see like Olrox continuing to pretend to work with Battery and everything, and we also see him protect his lover, who has an absolute breakdown at seeing all these people killed. Which fair, because he wants to protect and save people, and Olrox is literally stopping him from doing so to save his life. And I like that it shows that he's not like upset at Olrox or trying to fight back at him, because he knows that Olrox is trying to protect him. But at the same time, he's also very fucked up over this entire situation, because he knows that he needs to be safe right now, and he knows that Olrox is right to protect him, but it's still gonna fuck him up, seeing all these people horrifically murdered before his eyes. Um, and it's interesting too because it's very clear how much Olrox loves him, and yet he made this argument against Tara being able to love when it's super clear that Tara adores Maria still, obviously. Even though Maria was scared, she was also still kind of letting it happen. She was terrified, but she was also like allowing her mother to, get close to her because she wanted to believe that she was still fully in there. And we know as viewers, of course, that she is. But this is like a new thing for Maria to have to deal with. Um, but she was giving her a chance, and we know if she needed to fight, she would have probably fought. She would have had a hard time fighting her mother, but she would have probably done something, even if it just ended up being running in the end. Um, but we see just how much more powerful Jolta is with bullets just not even doing anything to her. And like we see that she can be out in the sun and everything. She's insanely more powerful, probably twice as powerful at least. We also get to see her origins at the beginning of this, which is really interesting because the first episode started with a flashback to Alucard visiting um, Sekhmet's tomb, and now this episode starts with a flashback to Sekhmet's tomb, but back in the old days, like back when it was very well inhabited, and Jolta was a servant of Sekhmet who lived and worked in the area and worked to protect Sekhmet's tomb and all. She was very friendly with the other locals and seemed like she was a bit of a medicine woman, which is pretty cool. And we see that when everybody was slaughtered by vampires and just these attackers in general for whatever reason to steal Sekhmet's body, I guess these raiders, um, they they killed pretty much everyone there, including this kid that Jalta had cared for. And Jolta was so fucked up by the entire situation, by all these people being killed, by Sekhmet's body being taken, that it kind of traumatized her and made her literally pray for the for a way to get stronger, to presumably protect what she cares about. And it's right at that moment as she's praying, she hears a noise and goes out and sees a vampire feeding on the kid, ironically enough. And she manages to use her wits to kill him, and then beheads him and drinks his blood to become a vampire herself. Because she feels like this was Sekhmet answering her prayer and giving her a way to become more powerful. It's a really, really tragic tale that gives a lot of depth to Jalta, and to a point can start to explain why she might be so loyal um, to Erzsébet, because Erzsébet has taken Sekhmet into herself. I actually kind of think her loyalty, Jalta's loyalty, is not with Erzsébet specifically, but with the Sekhmet within Erzsébet. Proclaimed as such, at least. I think she's more serving Sekhmet still, in her eyes, than Erzsébet, as a person. You know what I mean? And I think that this is her way of seeing, atoning for what happened back then. That's why she's so loyal, why she's so fiercely for this. Because even though the Dralta of the past would be horrified by what she's become. Not just like literally in terms of being a night creature, but in terms of the things that she does and how easily she's willing to just violently and horrifically murder people. But I think also this isn't what she wanted originally. I think she's been manipulated into this, into believing that this is right by Erzsébet. And we didn't see how they met. Like, that attack presumably had nothing to do with Erzsébet at all. So, we have no idea how they met and how Erzsébet would have manipulated her into joining and everything, how all of that would have gone down. Because we can presume, like, everything we saw in that flashback, like, she was still the woman we saw at the beginning of it. Even after she became a vampire. Like, that was still the same Dralta. So what changed? And I really hope we get that information. Like, it doesn't have to go into, like, the most exceedingly detailed explanation. But I want to know, like, how she and Erzsébet met. I feel like that's specifically big information that we need to know. And I want to, like, at least find out a little bit about how Erzsébet started to, you know, manipulate her in this way. I don't think there's any chance whatsoever of, like, a redemption thing with Dralta. She's not that kind of character. I don't think she'll be redeemed, but I think that when she does eventually die for good, this might sound weird, but I think she might die with a smile. Because I think that when she dies for good, I think it's going to be seen as her, like, completing her task of protecting Sekhmet. And she's going to be at peace when she dies. That's my theory. That just, because again, I've said this in many other shows and reactions and whatnot, but I've seen this kind of storyline play out before, where it's like they don't redeem the villain, but they make the villain kind of die in peace because they're happy and proud for what they accomplished. Because in their eyes, it was their goal. The biggest example I can give to this is actually Führer King Bradley from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. He dies with a smile on his face, content and happy, which goes along with the entire thing of Brotherhood's design of having all of the 7 deadly sins, the homunculi, dying in a way that goes against their sin. Bradley is wrath, but he dies happy and content. It goes against that. But he dies happy and content because he truly believes that he accomplished his goals, what he needed to do. He felt satisfied with his life's purpose. And even though that was twisted, even though that was, like, you know, horrifically evil, what he did, and what he tried to help do, it was, or rather what he helped try and do is more correct grammar there, but the point is, he was satisfied in the end. And I think that Dralta would probably get a death similar to his. I absolutely see that. She feels like a very similar character to me. Because remember, in Brotherhood, in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, King Bradley was, you know, experimented on as a child. He was raised into becoming who he was by father, by the gold-toothed doctor. Like, he was raised into that and literally experimented on, literally fused with a philosopher's stone to become a homunculus. That was not something he originally was. He was born as a normal human, and he only became as evil and twisted as he was because of the people who were bringing him up. And I think the same thing is kind of being shown with Dralta here. She started as a normal human who was a good person, from everything we can see. But after she became a vampire, like she ended up becoming twisted by those she chose to side with and serve, and just those she came across. I mean, from what we can tell, we don't know the whole story yet, but just based on what we do have, it's very implied at the moment that Elizabeth is the one that caused her to become the way she is now, and it's absolutely because of Elizabeth being like Sekhmet, quote unquote. So I'm very curious to see if my prediction here ends up being correct. Um, but that's the only way I can see her dying. I don't see her dying a pathetic death. I don't see her dying like some crazy death or some like really sudden death. I think it's going to be a very big moment because of how she was brought back. Like if they're going to kill her again, it's going to be a notable scene, I feel. Um, and I just do not see her being redeemed. She's not that kind of character. But I'm very interested to see what they do with that. We also didn't get anything with like the Abbott or Edouard in this, although they were both mentioned. Neither were shown. I'm curious how the Abbott is doing, considering how like horrifically like fucked up he got over Dralta's resurrection. Like he did not like that. And mind you, this dude already knows he's horrible and evil and that he's going to hell. But it's like he was not in a good place after that. So I'm not worried about him. I'm just kind of curious. Honestly, I'm fine with seeing him suffer. He's I hate him a lot. Because of, the way he treats Maria, the way he treated Tara and everything. Just his way of like justifying his actions. He's horrible. But I do want to see how he's reacting to all of this going on. Because we're seeing how Mizrak is reacting to everything. Who, by the way, I just remembered the name of randomly. But we're seeing how he's reacting to everything comparatively, and even though he's not with the Abbot anymore, it's like he still believes in God, as we see. Like he still fully has that faith. And seeing people torn up and like horrifically murdered like this is like the worst thing he could possibly see. He's like so pained by it. I'm actually surprised that Jalta didn't see him while she was flying overhead. Maybe she did, and maybe she just ignored him. But that was one of the people she was questioning Olrox about. So, I don't know. Maybe she just didn't see him somehow. That's possible, I guess. Um, but yeah, I, I'm very interested to see what happens with the group being split up as well, because we know they're going to come back together by the end of the season. But the fact that they're being split up feels like, with 8 episodes in the season, it's like, how are you going to do this? Like, what is the plan here? I'm very curious. Then we got these other 3 vampires that they were fighting. Also, Annette? Is that her name? That just clicked in my head. I think her name's Annette. I'm sometimes really bad with names. But Annette and Richter were fighting them. The one dude reminded me of Voldo from Soul Calibur. There was the short guy who ended up getting away, and then the over armored dude who Richter just set on fire. It's like, hey, you burn now. It was so casual. Um, but yeah, they managed to take out 2 of them. The other one escaped, and they didn't even get any rabbits. You know, doesn't that really suck? You don't even get some good food. I mean, Annette found mushrooms, right? So there's something. If you like mushrooms. And I like mushrooms. I love mushrooms. Mushrooms are great. Um, but yeah, it's like you kind of need more than that. um, some mushrooms can be used as meat substitutes, but probably not the kind you're gonna find just randomly in the forest like that. For meat substitutes, the best kind of mushroom, in my opinion, is, um, oh god, my mind blanks at the weirdest times. The big cap ones, the ones with the big caps that you like can use as like a burger replacement, for example. Portobellas. Um, Portobellas are very meaty. Like, not obviously in texture necessarily or in taste, but just like kind of the vibe of them. They kind of have a very like filling vibe and can absolutely be used as a meat substitute, um, for various dishes. I've literally used portobello caps as a substitute for burgers before. I've literally done this, and they're good. They're really good. Especially if you grill and season them right. It's like, yeah, absolutely. And of course, I like, a lot of more typical mushrooms like button mushrooms and whatnot, shiitakes. It's like you just have to know how to cook them, know how to use them right, and everything, and they're great. And again, definitely season. Remember to season. So yeah, mushrooms can be good. It's just you gotta have something else, right? Yeah, it's just I don't know. Either way, I'm definitely excited to continue to see what this season has to offer because I feel like it's gonna ramp up pretty quickly, considering everything. I'm assuming that next episode they're probably gonna arrive in Paris, like pretty much right away, because I feel like they kind of have to, with the pacing of how this has to go. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. This episode was like it went by really quick for me because I was so into it. There's just a lot of potential here. The art and animation was gorgeous. Like there were certain specific points in this where it's just like, oh my god. Like I think right at the beginning, right where it was like Jalta like dipping her hands in water or something. It's like, why is that so fucking gorgeous looking? Like you did not need to go that hard for that single shot. And then the action sequences obviously are fantastic as always, but that's expected. Like that was always the case with the original series too. So yeah, really really good start, really strong second episode here. But now we do need to start getting into the meat of things. Because these first couple episodes, like setting things up and really getting the ball rolling, is great. But we really do need to progress things now. And I'm just curious as to how far this is going to go. So, yeah, we will continue to check this out and, well, find out. Tell me in the comments below, though, what you thought of this episode of Castlevania Nocturne. And obviously, no spoilers, because I know this was like released all at once. I do not want to be spoiled, so do not tell me anything that's going to happen. Don't confirm or deny any theories I make. Just please, I want to remain spoiler free. So, that being said, thank you as always so much for tuning in. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.